I'm from Portland, Oregon. We had Portland Wrestling there, promoter Don Owen.
Right.
The Owen generations since 1925 until 1991 when the World Wrestling Federation finally took them off the air.
Right.
And that was it. They were on a handshake basis. As you know, I'm probably in sports and everything, handshakes don't mean nothing anymore.
Right.
Old school.
Everything's contracted now.
That's correct.
How did you actually break into the business? What is your background too, as far as like sports?
I don't know what our time level is. I want to shoot with you. As in pro wrestling, I protected the business for my entire career until Vince McMahon exposed it, of course, to everybody, so he could be the top dog. And he's done very well with that. Me, I was a boxer before I was a wrestler. I had several amateur fights. 8, 9, and 10 years old. I was sexually abused by a relative, let's put it that way, and it was horrific, as anyone can imagine. Can I look? I mean, how
Sure.
we straight shooting here?
Oh yeah, you totally get into it.
Straight shooting?
Yeah.
Okay, man. When I was 8, just like on Saturday nights, I got America's Most Wanted, and I think his name is John.
I forgot his last name, the guy that hosts from American
Most Wanted.
Wanted.
Well, anyway, John had a son that was
Adam.
brutally raped or murdered, Adam, and me was pretty much the same way, but I wasn't murdered, but I was murdered mentally. And my mother knew something was wrong, and if I would have told my dad, he would have killed him. If I told my uncle, who was also a professional boxer, would have killed him. So I kept it inside till I was 15, and then I realized what happened. When you turn 15, things happen in your life, you reach puberty.
Right.
So I wanted it myself. At 15, I was light heavyweight. I was 6'1", 175 at 15, and I was sparring with world-class fighters and fighting amateur. So I made the mistake and told my uncle, who was the fighter. He was a truck driver. On the way back, he was going to go talk to him with me and probably rough him up a little bit and turn him into the police. He was killed in a truck accident on the way back. He was rushing to get back, so I felt like I was responsible for that. And that my dad's only brother, and I was just broke me down, man. So 3 weeks or 2 weeks later, I told my mother. I had to tell somebody at 15, you're going through those changes. What happened then is my mother knew. She told me that she knew it. She could feel it, but I always said I had a headache when something was brought up. Are you okay, Billy? When I was growing up, I said, I got a headache, Mom. You know, from the fight game. She didn't want me to do it, but my dad and uncle did, you know.
Right.
And then I told her what happened, and it's her sister's husband that did this. And they both knew it, so they were keeping it a secret. My mother and I drove out there to Oregon City, and my mother slapped the crap out of her sister, and then my uncle got up and I pushed him down. That's all I did. My mother had a nervous breakdown, and we kept our secret not to tell, my dad, and this is real tough to talk about. For anybody who's been abused, as I look into the camera, I'm looking at you, I know the camera's right here. Anybody who's been abused, and there's been millions of them, you feel like you're guilty. You know, you feel like you're the guilty one. Well, now after my uncle died, my dad knew nothing of it. He just died in a truck wreck. And then my mother died 3 days later of a brain aneurysm or a nervous breakdown over this whole situation. So well, you know, you want to shoot. You want to shoot anywhere, you're going to get one. My mother died. My mother died, and my uncle died in 3 weeks apart, and my dad went blind 2 years later. Wow. With diabetes. So I had to hold this all inside. So for 37 years, I kept it a secret, and that's why I became violent. You know, And in the ring I was vicious. So with Jared Corey, the late great fighters, when I was sparring with him at 17 and holding my own, you know. Of course he beat me, but I mean, Ron Lau, you ever heard of him, heavyweight?
No.
From Denver, Colorado. I'm sure a lot of people have it. These are guys that were vicious heavyweights. And wrestling wasn't on my table at that time. Just the death of my uncle and my mother. And then taking care of my dad.
Hmm.
And that's that. How else do you want me to continue it?
So you actually got into the business, how did you actually get into the actual wrestling business?
Okay. Now, it's been 37 years since I broke my silence on this, January of 2006, this year. And that's a whole different story we can talk about later. This is a legal battle that's going on right now. I got into business because we watched wrestling as a family, and all I was in life at that time was a janitor, custodian, making, I think, $6 an hour. All the potential in the world. I dropped out of school at 15, after my mother's and uncle's deaths. I went into the military. I liked that for the first 6 months. And then I think I even made E4 after 6 months, which is hard to do. Basic training and infantry training at Fort Lewis, Washington, and Fort Knox, Kentucky. And then my dad got sick, and I came home on leave, and I extended my leave, which is called AWOL. And I went back. When I went back, then they were gonna. I spent 6 months in the military stockade.
Wow.
In Fort Lewis, Washington. So I was just young and stupid, and it was wrong for what I did. But once again, I wanted to take care of my dad.
Right.
And he wanted me to leave. He knew I was violent. He knew I could probably end up in jail for a long time.